We are tracking breaking news tonight. Singer Aaron Carter found dead in his California home today at just 34 years old. NewsNation correspondent Nick Smith is live with the breaking details coming in, and this is not the news we expected today.
Not at all, Natasha, and we're still learning new information. We know that deputies responded to Aaron Carter's California home around 11 this morning following reports of a medical emergency. Management for Carter confirmed the singer's death in a statement to NewsNation, but provided no further details. Carter is the younger brother of Backstreet Boy Nick Carter, but amassed a following of his own after opening for the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears. Carter released his first album in 1997. That album eventually going gold later that year. But the singer has been open about his fair share of struggles, from mental health issues to drug addiction. Carter opened up in a 2019 interview on the TV show The Doctors, saying he suffered from multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, and manic depression. In September of this year, Carter told the U.S. Sun that he survived more than 100 seizures from addiction. Carter enrolled himself in a rehab center for the 5th time that same month. Carter is survived by his 11-month-old son, Prince, who is turning 1 later this month. Natasha.
All right, Nick Smith, thank you. And we do want to welcome in entertainment correspondent Josh McBride. Josh, really shocking for many of us today. And also, Aaron's path has been really fraught. What do we know that he had been dealing with most recently?
Yeah, as Nick mentioned on that 2019 episode of The Doctors, he mentions about going through so much, including the mental health issues, like Nick had said, multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, acute anxiety, manic depression. He also was very active during the pandemic on going on Instagram Live, where he would talk about his issues and talk about them very publicly. He did a lot of interviews via Skype and Zoom, like we're doing now with TMZ and other outlets, because there was a lot of let's just say, hard-hitting, maybe even troublesome, worrisome things that Aaron did say while he was on live. What we do know right now, Natasha, Melanie Martin, who is the mother of his 11-month-old son, Prince, just posted about 4 hours ago a TikTok video. It was only about 2 or 3 seconds of her crying, and that was her only response that we've seen so far.
It's terrible and so shocking. Is this a case of yet another child star having a tragic downfall, or is there more that people should keep in mind about this story?
Look, I think it's too early to make any type of judgments. We know that Aaron suffered, but as far as what we know, what the police did find, there was no information or evidence of foul play. We know that in 2017, he was arrested in Georgia under the suspicion of driving under the influence when he was with his then fiancee, Melanie Martin. That's what we do know. It was also, he was pulled over for marijuana possession at that same time. Look, he's been struggling for a minute. He was open about his struggles. He's been open about his struggles, but I think it is too soon whether or not to say how he has passed. We do know that he was found in the bathtub. That's as far as we know at this moment.
And we know, as you mentioned, Aaron, a father to a young son. I think that is news to some of his fans who remember him, from the 90s. Of course, we are thinking of that son. What else do we know about his family life and the mother of his child?
Yeah, we did know that they were separated. We did know that Aaron was very public with dating other, even potential celebrities that he would go live with often during the pandemic, during this time where we were all hunkered down. I don't think a lot of people remember this, but Aaron had 4 studio albums. He was known as Nick Carter's brother from, of course, the Backstreet Boys, but, he had a debut album in 1997. I mean, he's been around. His last single, I believe, was called Love. It was in 2018. He had his own brand. Whether or not he was with his fiance is kind of here or there. We do know that he was sort of separated from his family and would often, as I remember, because I would tap into the lives sometimes, that he would not necessarily say that he was connected very strongly with his family. That's what we do know.
Yeah, and a spokesperson for the LA County Sheriff's Department saying today that police are investigating the suspicious death at Carter's home. What do you make of that? Why the classification of suspicious?
TMZ was reporting that it was there was no foul play. What we did know is that he was found in the bathtub. Suspicious, it's hard to say, because the reports that I've read and the sources that I've connected with, they all have said there was no signs of much. Now, could that be covering up whatever there may be? Potentially, but typically they would have given some type of answer or some type of response to what maybe was found next to him as he had passed.
All right. And so sorry this is the end for him. Josh McBride, I certainly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.